Hi, I'm Daniel Wong, and today we're going to be playing the deck that I piloted to a top 8 finish at Grand Prix Dallas-Fort Worth, Blue-Red Taking Turns. So a lot of things have happened in the world of Magic since my last video. For me personally, I attempted unsuccessfully to qualify for Mythic Championship Barcelona during the standard MCQ season, so I'm really excited that I'm now qualified for Mythic Championship Richmond, Virginia by getting that top 8 finish at Dallas. Speaking of people going to MC Richmond, Marcus Ewald also qualified with his build of Blue-Red Taking Turns by taking down the MCQ at Magic Fest Copenhagen. So his build relies more on Ancestral Vision and Narset as the card advantage engine rather than the typical Howling Mine and Dictate of Kruphix. He's also running 2 Days Undoing alongside his Narsets, which is a very spicy inclusion indeed. It just goes to show that there are a lot of builds of Taking Turns out there that can be very successful. Back in the world of Magic at large, Modern Horizons has been released, which has had a huge impact on the modern format as a whole. The new core set, M20, is also out, and along with that is the London Mulligan. Bridge from Below has also been banned, which means the Hogak Menace is no longer as big of a threat in the modern format. So yeah, that's quite a lot of things that have happened recently. Let's jump right into this deck though. So this build of Taking Turns relies on the card advantage engine of Howling Mine and Dictate of Kruphix, both of which say each player draws an extra card each turn. Jace also fills a similar role with his 0 ability to brainstorm every turn. So because Dictate and Howling Mine are symmetric effects, we want a way to break that symmetry. We do that by taking extra turns. Time Warp is the strongest extra turn effect in the deck because it's the cheapest at 5 mana, and it doesn't exile itself, which means that Snapcaster Mage can flash it back. Part the Waterveil is necessary because of that Awaken 6. For 9 mana, we get to turn one of our lands into a 6/6, which will very quickly kill the opponent. In a pinch, we can also just spend the 6 mana to simply take an extra turn. Temporal Mastery works great with Jace. With Jace, you get to put Temporal Mastery back on top, and then get to Miracle it for just 2 mana and take an extra turn. Gigadrowse and Exhaustion work as our pseudo extra turn effects. Gigadrowse gets to tap our opponent's lands, or sometimes creatures if we have enough mana, and Exhaustion stops those lands and creatures from untapping in the first place. For other interaction, we have 3 Lightning Bolts, Snapback, which is basically unsummon with an alternate cost of exiling a blue card from our hand, 4 Snapcaster Mage, 2 Cryptic Commands, and my favorite card in Modern, Commandeer. So one thing that makes Commandeer so great in this deck is that with Howling Mine and Dictate of Kruphix out, you can often find yourself in a situation where you have a bunch of very expensive blue cards like Temporal Mastery in your hand, but no way to actually use them. Commandeer allows you to make use of them by doing things like taking your Tron opponent's Karn, taking your Burn opponent's Lightning Helix, or even just taking your opponent's counterspell so that your Time Warp can resolve. There are a lot of different ways to use Commandeer, and it's personally one of my favorite cards in the format. To round it all out, we have 6 cantrips in 2 Opt and 4 Serum Visions. The mana base has 22 lands, 13 of which are either fetch lands, of which there are 5, or produce red mana, 2 Steam Vents, 4 Sulfur Falls, 1 Cascade Bluffs, and 1 Temple of Epiphany. We have 6 basic lands, 3 islands, 3 snow-covered, 1 Watery Grave, which we'll get to in the sideboard, 1 Gemstone Caverns, where if we're feeling lucky, and 1 Mikokoro, which allows both players to draw a card. Over in the sideboard, we have 3 Thing in the Ice, which is great for our anti-aggro plan, or basically any deck that's faster than our Dictate of Kruphix Time Warp plan. The bounce ability on Awoken Horror is also great against creature decks. Gelectrode is an additional anti-creature card, and is also useful against the 3-mana planeswalkers out of blue-white control. The blue-white control matchup used to be one of our best matchups because we got to simply tap all of their lands at end step with Gigadrowse and then go off without fear of a counterspell. But now that they have Little Narset, Little Teferi, and Force of Negation, that matchup has become a lot more difficult, so having an additional threat in the form of Gelectrode is fantastic there. We also have creature removal in 2 Abrade, 2 Anger of the Gods, and 2 Engineered Explosives, some interaction with the stack in a Negate, and 2 more Commandeers, and 2 Surgical Extractions as our Graveyard Hate. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention. This deck is 74 out of 75 cards the same as what I played at Dallas-Fort Worth. The one change I made was taking out the 3rd Surgical Extraction for the Gelectrode, and the reason for this change is that Bridge from Below was banned, which means there's less of a need for Graveyard Hate. Alright, let's jump right into the matches. Okay, here we are for match 1. We've lost the die roll. We do have a lot of lands in this hand, but unfortunately, we don't have much to do, just one Lightning Bolt, so I think this is going to have to be a mulligan. We are on the London mulligan, so this isn't too bad. And this hand is actually pretty great. We only have one land, but we do have 2 Serum Visions, so we'll be able to set up our next draws pretty nicely. We get to put this... we do have this Jace. I think it's still worth it to put Temporal Mastery on the bottom, even though we have Jace, just because Temporal Mastery is basically the worst card to have in an opening hand. The opponent has Wooded Foothills. That's some cool art. I don't think I've seen this before. A Magic Online promo. Stomping Ground and Faithless Looting. This smells like Dredge to me. Dark Blast, Life from the Loam. Yep. All right, this is going to be a little bit tough. Dictate of Kruphix is not a card that we necessarily want to cast on turn 3 because the Dredge opponent can take such great advantage of it. These aren't lands, so those are going to the bottom. The Dredge opponent can take such great advantage of those extra draws because that means extra dredges. So let's see what they dredge. Probably Life from the Loam. Yep. And they milled, fortunately, a Stinkweed Imp and another Life from the Loam. Looks like a Cathartic Reunion, which is not very good for us. Discarding Creeping Chill and Life from the Loam. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of dredging off of that Stinkweed Imp, Life from the Loam, and one more Life from the Loam. Milled Creeping Chill, Bloodghast, Prized Amalgam, 2 Bloodghasts. Conflagrate. Yeah, this isn't looking good for us. I think I'm just gonna crack this for a tapped Steam Vents and then play Serum Visions. That way we won't ruin our scry. Okay, so we do need lands. We already have a Snapcaster Mage and we can snap Serum Visions if we need to, so we do not want this Snapcaster Mage and we do want this land. So right now the plan is to Snapcaster Serum Visions next turn, try to set up our 4th land drop, maybe do a Cryptic Command or something. Oh wow, there is another Cathartic Reunion from the opponent. This is going to end very poorly, I imagine. Let's see, dredging 2 Stinkweeds and a 3rd Stinkweed, hitting a bunch of Narcomoebas and a Creeping Chill. Probably going to play a land, get back. I'm not even sure how many Bloodghasts at this point. Looks like, stop moving around. Looks like 3 Bloodghasts, 2 Prized Amalgams. Can we win this game? Let's see. We are at 13. The opponent is getting 2, 4, 6, 8, plus 2 Amalgams. That's a lot of triggered abilities. So 2, 4, 6, 8. We can block a Prized Amalgam with Snapcaster Mage, but likely our opponent's just going to conflagrate us and face. So 11, 14. So I think we're dead unless we can draw a Commandeer off of Snapcaster Serum Visions. Yeah, we can't Cryptic Command. We don't have enough mana to tap these. So yeah, we need to draw into Commandeer for our opponent's conflagrate. No, that's not it. All right, I believe we're dead, but we'll make the opponent kill us. See, milled a Creeping Chill off of Golgari Thug, milled a Prized Amalgam and a Bloodghast. That's pretty good. Here comes the Conflagrate. No. Here comes the Life from the Loam into Conflagrate. There's the Bloodghast. There's the Amalgam trigger. There's Combat. Oh, that has haste. All right, let's block an Amalgam. I didn't do the math. Be alive. Not with that Creeping Chill. And that. All right. Luckily, we have things in the sideboard. Surgical, obviously excellent. Anger, also excellent. Thing in the Ice, also excellent. Commandeer is kind of medium. It is good against Cathartic Reunion, but it's not great against Faithless Looting, just because it means we're getting rid of 3 cards in our hand, then drawing 2 and discarding 2. But using it against a Cathartic Reunion, the opponent has still discarded 2, but we just draw 3. So I like to leave it at 1 Commandeer, but I will bring in Negate, I think. Gelectrode's not great. it basically only kills Bloodghast, but killing Bloodghast isn't where you want to be. It does kill Narcomoeba, but you know, who cares? We've got 8 cards we're bringing in. And typically I trim on... There's a lot of horizontal space here. Okay, typically I trim on Dictates and Howling Mines because these are very, very bad against the Dredge opponent. Or bad for us, good for the Dredge opponent. And when you're trimming this many Dictates, you can go ahead and trim some extra turn effects. I'm not a huge fan of Gigadrowse in this matchup, just because they get so many creatures that Gigadrowse becomes ineffective. And also, they often have... what am I trying to say? Yeah, they just often get so many creatures that it becomes ineffective. For our last cut, either a Snapcaster Mage if we're expecting graveyard interaction, or just trimming a land in the form of Gemstone Caverns is fine. I feel like trimming a land. So that's 8 cards out, 8 cards in. And let's submit. All right, game 2. Yes, we will go first. This hand isn't great. It does have a negate in it. We would really like something like a Surgical Extraction. Yeah, this is one of those marginal hands where I think I would probably have kept this on the Vancouver mulligan, but we've got London, so let's go digging. Okay. We do have Surgical. That's pretty nice. We've got Anger. We've got Thing in the Ice. I think this is a keeper. So we're going to put Time Warp on the bottom because it's the most expensive thing here. And we're going to go hurt ourselves so that we can get a red mana to try to be able to cast Anger of the Gods. And we want to set up our second land drop. So let's cast the Serum Visions. So Anger is nice, but we really need a third land in order to cast it. So let's just put that on top. One kind of tricky part here is it's unclear if we should be fetching another red source for Anger of the Gods, or if we should be fetching a black source for Surgical Extraction here. Stinky and Life from the Loam. All right, so here's an interesting thought. We can hurt ourselves a lot by playing the Flooded Strand, fetching a Steam Vents that will set up Anger of the Gods, playing Thing in the Ice, and then surgicaling these 2 dredgers. The opponent will likely have extremely few dredgers left. We'll have a Thing in the Ice on 2 counters. We'll have Snapcaster Mage ready for hitting Surgical Extraction, and we'll have Anger of the Gods ready to flip Thing in the Ice as soon as we draw another land. The opponent will have a Faithless Looting in the graveyard, no more Stinkweed Imps in the deck, and no more Life from the Loams in the deck. I kind of like the sound of that. They'll be drawing a fresh card. They won't be dredging. Yeah, this all sounds good to me. The graveyard is really getting in the way. All right, there's that. Steam Vents. Let's hurt ourselves as much as possible. All right, and let's see what they've got. Definitely want to take the ones in the yard, the ones in the library. Cathartic Reunion and 2 Narcomoebas in hand. That is not a great hand, but they had dredgers that would be quite excellent. All right. That graveyard is really getting in the way. Okay, let's screenshot this. And what are we looking at? Bunch of Bloodghast, Cathartic Greens, Conflagrate, 3 Nature's Claim, Golgari Thug. So Golgari Thug is a dredger, Dark Blast is a dredger, and probably, do they have that land? Doesn't even look like they have the land that dredges. All right, looks pretty normal. I think we're going to proceed with the plan. Saying we have exiled the Stinky. Yep. All right, then let's just go ahead and take that one. So now with so few dredgers in their library, it should be pretty difficult for them to actually get going before Thing in the Ice kills them. Go ahead and double check if there's anything we should be aware of. I think it's probably just Conflagrate that can kill a Thing in the Ice. They can somehow cast Dark Blast 4 times in one turn. All right, they discarded 2 Narcomoebas. Affected. Nice. All right, well, that seemed pretty decent. I do think we should bring this in instead of an island. Anything else to change? I think that was pretty good. All right, here we are for game 3. We are on the draw. This hand does not have lands in it. Shoot, I completely forgot to take the lightning bolts out. Those are terrible in this matchup. That was my bad. Well, here's a surgical extraction and a Snapcaster Mage, so that looks pretty great. We'll keep that. Oh boy, and now do we get rid of Cryptic or do we get rid of Jace? We really want the lands because we need to hit the lands to get our 4-mana spell. I want to say we get rid of Cryptic. This could be a mistake though. I think having a permanent source of card advantage in Jace is going to be more important because Surgical will slow down the opponent. So I don't think the opponent will be able to pressure Jace very well because we'll be able to Surgical the first thing, Snapcaster Surgical a second thing. Alright, just Wooded Foothills pass from the opponent. Probably a Cathartic Reunion. Yeah, I completely forgot about taking Lightning Bolts out in this matchup. They are pretty terrible. Alright, this is probably a Cathartic Reunion from the opponent, so hopefully they only discard 1 Dredger. Let's see. Bloodghast and Syncope Imp. That is 1 Dredger, so... Alright, their hand is just Copperline Gorge. Let's see, did they do anything different here? They have Assassin's Trophy. Good to know. Steal 3 Nature's Claims. 3 Life from the Loams. 2 Thugs. 2 Conflagrates. Alright. Yeah, not taking that Lightning Bolt out. Very embarrassing. I hope it doesn't cost us the game. We will see. I would much rather this Lightning Bolt be an island. Guess there was an argument to Surgicaling that Bloodghast. I didn't really think too hard about it, but in retrospect, I think it would have been worth it. I'm just going to play the Scalding Tarn so that I can fetch a tapped Watery Grave. Opponent just hardcasting Creeping Chum. Okay. I mean, that is a thing. This graveyard is really getting in the way. Alright. Not like to pay 2 life. And I am really regretting having this Lightning Bolt in the deck, but I might as well put it to use and bolt something. Because we are above 12 or above 10, this won't have haste. So I'm just going to play Jace next turn. That thing won't have haste. The opponent doesn't have Conflagrate. The opponent doesn't have basically it doesn't have ways to dredge into another Creeping Chill. So I feel pretty safe about doing this. Let's see. Oh man, those aren't lands. Those are not lands. I guess we can't really do anything with any of these, so just yeah, I mean, we're not going to be able to cast that, so. Alright. This could be bad. Ooh. Guess that was a reason to keep the thing in the ice in hand. I didn't really think about having the mandatory shuffle effect there. Alright, so this feels like an Exhaustion plus Dictate turn to me. We'll be taking 2 off the Bloodghast, which is annoying because future Bloodghasts are hasty. But we'll have access to Snapcaster Exhaustion. And hopefully we'll draw something good. I feel like the opponent isn't drawing much of anything. The opponent also does not have green for Nature's Claim, which is worthy of note. All right. So Snapcaster Exhaustion is 5 mana, so we've got an extra mana to work with right now. Because we drew that land, we now have put Time Warp on top, cast Serum Visions, draw it. Yeah, all right, so put that on the bottom, put that on top, draw that Time Warp. Do we need another Exhaustion? I feel like that's not exactly where we want to be. It does buy us some time though. No, we would rather get something better, I think. Actually, no, now we can use Snapcaster on Time Warp, so having an Exhaustion as another card is actually pretty good. So yeah, that sounds good to me. Ooh, Anger of the Gods. I don't think we're quite at that point yet. Right, Time Warp is pretty good. That would have been pretty good if we miracled it. And it's still not bad. Ooh. Yes, that Snapcaster was a reason to have played Time Warp last turn. Should have thought about that. There's really no rhyme or reason to when I'm casting things pre-combat or post-combat here. Right, unfortunately, we're not going to have the mana to cast those cantrips because this is a Snapcaster Time Warp turn. All right, nice. I think that Time Warp is lethal. Cool, I'll see you for the next match. All right, here we are for match 2. We've won the die roll. This hand is very medium. It doesn't have any mine effects in it, which means even though we get to Exhaustion the opponent for multiple turns, work towards a Cryptic, work towards a Time Warp, we're not actually getting anywhere. I think this is mulligan. This hand's not great. We do have Mikokoro, but the rest of the hand's just garbage. I'm going to keep it and hope that we're playing against a very slow deck. Like, the opponent has also mulliganed to 6. Let's see what they're up to. Misty Rainforest into Temple Garden. And Search for Tomorrow in exile. Ooh, that was a nice Commandeer. I think I'm going to play Misty Rainforest. Getting the shuffle in, I think, is going to be nice because then Temporal Mastery will represent our own little explore. The opponent Search for Tomorrow going down to 1. Steam Vents, interesting. This is some kind of Bring to Light nonsense. All right, let's play Mikokoro so that we can try to load up for Commandeer. So normally I'm a fan of doing things like taking... Ooh, what the? Ice Fang Codal. Alright. So normally I'm a fan of doing things like taking the opponent's Search from Tomorrow. However, the opponent has a blue mana available, which to me represents Remand. And getting our Commandeer remanded here would be pretty bad. So I want to see if the opponent taps out for something else. I also clearly don't understand this deck fully. Is it actually a Scapeshift deck, or what's going on here? Luckily, Ice Fang Codal is a very slow clock. That seems like a card that we want. I don't think the opponent is likely to have Dispel. It's unfortunate that the opponent did that before combat. Now they get to attack Teferi, but whatever. Right? Ooh. I think we want to see if we can keep Teferi alive. It is pretty neat that we can Serum Visions at instant speed. I don't really know if we want to. You know what? It's just too cool. Let's do it. I think the only way we regret this is if we draw Howling Mine, and I'm not convinced that we should cast Howling Mine in this scenario anyway. Actually, maybe we should. It's toughy. All right, let's see what the opponent's doing. Oh, their own Teferi. Well, we have to do this now then. These cards seem a little bad. Well, it looks like the dueling Teferis means the plus just straight up doesn't do anything. Okay. All right. So one cool thing is we are insulated from counterspells because of our Teferi. So just I guess tick it up and take an extra turn, see if we can actually draw something. We're 1 mana short of Snapcaster Time Warp. We do get to Bolt Snap Bolt the Teferi if we want to. And then plus our Teferi. We can theoretically minus our Teferi on Snapcaster to Time Warp after that, depending on what happens. I do think it's worth taking out the opponent's Teferi, so I guess let's do that. Right, we also get a land, and we also get to plus our Teferi. Alright, your turn, opponent. I really don't understand what the opponent's deck is. It's just 4-color. Is it Scapeshift? Opponent's attacking us? The opponent given up on Teferi? Are they just trying to bring us down to 18 for a Scapeshift? Fucker Drive Elder? This has to be Scapeshift, right? So I think the play here is to Teferi minus on Snapcaster, and then Snapcaster Time Warp, so fetching an island. Alright, that Dictate will come in handy if we can get it down. But now, this. So what I'm worried about is the opponent going for Scapeshift and killing us. So some things that we can do about that are Jace and try to draw into untapped land plus Cryptic Command. That's basically all we've got. Well, we're definitely going to plus Teferi. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we've got. We could try to represent something, but that doesn't sound worth it to me. We could bounce Snapcaster to try to replay it, but that also seems silly. Gigadrowse. I guess that was a reason to not leave Mikokoro untapped. So if we use the Gigadrowse this turn, we can prevent ourselves from dying to Scapeshift, which I think is worth it. We will probably untap with Jace on board, and hopefully that'll be good enough. So let's put those back because that's just too many lands. Do this now. We've got the stop on our opponent's upkeep. Let's see what kind of lands they get. I think we can leave Snapcaster in play with these 2 planeswalkers that can bounce a Snapcaster. I think that'll be very good for us. So upkeep. Let's tap some lands. This one, 2 copies. Alright, so we're not dying to Scapeshift this turn. What is this Windswept Heath getting? Oh, you know what? Maybe we are dying to Scapeshift this turn. Maybe our opponent is going to cast Bring to Light, but I don't think that works against a Teferi, does it? I believe Bring to Light says that you cast the spell during the resolution of Bring to Light, which is not a time when you could cast a sorcery. So let's see how this plays out. Opponent says, I'm not sure if this works. Okay. Opponent says, okay, just checking. And yep, opponent is attacking Teferi, makes sense. Right, there's another Gigadrowse. That's pretty cool. So let's make sure we plus Teferi. Draw some cards. Cryptic Command is nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can just tap out our opponent. That doesn't sound too bad. Alright, so I guess let's put Serum Visions and Cryptic Command on top. Plus Teferi, let's get in for 2. Go ahead and tap our opponent. Keep. Favorite part of this card, trying to figure out what you've already tapped. Anything good to grab? Alright. Now that we have Cryptic Command, we're 1 mana shy of doing Cryptic, counter, bounce Snapcaster, and then Snapcaster Cryptic again. I think let's Jace and see if we can get a land and make that plan a reality. We can't, but we do have Gigadrowse, so it's not all bad. Don't need this Jace. Don't need this Dictate of Kruphix. Very plus. And let's go ahead and attack the opponent. I think we can leave them with 1 land this turn. I say we leave them with plains. And that way we'll be able to cast Serum Visions at our opponent's end step. So getting 6 times, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Yep. Replicating 6 times. Targeting that snow-covered forest. There. Leave the plains. There. There. Opponent says, I have things I want to do with that mana, Daniel. I think I have enough mana to Temporal Mastery and also Dictate this turn. I probably should have dictated it upkeep, but I was not paying attention. Yeah, that sounds good. I think it matters what I put back. Ooh, almost forgot to plus the Teferi. Ooh, that's nice. Have any lightning bolts and just kill? Alright, well, we have the kill in hand in all sorts of ways, so. At this point, I think we just want to not run out the clock, so. I'm just going to cast this other Snapcaster Mage so that we can be presenting lethal for next turn. Alright. Not exactly sure how to sideboard against this deck. I mean, against traditional Scapeshift, I would definitely do something like Commandeer in, Negate in. I usually bring in 1 thing in the ice just in case they, for example, surgical a Snapcaster Mage and I need another way to win the game. This opponent showed Ice Fang Codal. Not sure if that means we want to bring in Gelectrode. I feel like the answer is no, but also I kind of like Gelectrode, so I don't want to bring it in. Oh, let's put these in the considerations pile and see what we're cutting. Try to do a better job of deciding what to cut. Okay, this time Lightning Bolt stays in intentionally. Oh, you know what? The opponent has Teferi. I think we do want Gelectrode as just another way to pressure Teferi. I am not sure if we want Thing in the Ice though. Lightning Bolt likewise stays in because of Teferi. Feel like Snapback is probably not great. I think we can cut 1 Snapcaster Mage in anticipation of Graveyard Hate. What else to cut? The Gigadrowses were good that game, but I generally don't like Gigadrowse against Scapeshift decks just because they tend to get more lands than you do, so it just becomes less effective. Also, Gigadrowse is very bad in the face of Teferi, so I think I want to cut at least one. I'm not sure if I want to cut more than that or not. This is tough. I wonder if maybe I can trim a Lightning Bolt. Teferi is really annoying, though. Alright, let's try something like trim a Lightning Bolt, trim another Gigadrowse. Definitely not sure of exactly what's in the opponent's deck. Definitely not sure if this sideboarding decision is correct, but this time I'm leaving Lightning Bolt in on purpose. Alright, here we are for game 2. We are going second. Alright, this is kind of nice. We've got a Jace on turn 3. That seems pretty good. I don't think I mind getting rid of the other Jace. Actually, one of our Jaces might get countered. We could get rid of either Time Warp or a land. I feel like it's safest to get rid of Jace. Obviously, the risk if we get rid of a land is that we don't draw another land. There is a Search from Tomorrow suspended from our opponent. Ooh, there's a Commandeer for us. Alright, the opponent has Shock to Steam Vents in, which indicates that they may have Remand or similar. Opponent's going to... Oh, Ice-Fang Kotal, of course. Alright, the opponent's casting their Search from Tomorrow. Again, I'm not going to Commandeer it. This time I also want to actually cast this Jace, so that's another reason to not Commandeer. No covered plains for the opponent. So Teeth into... We're taking some damage. Well, it's really unfortunate that we drew another land there. I was really hoping that we could draw a blue spell so that we'd have Commandeer backup. Yeah, it just feels too unsafe to cast this Jace into this much open mana. Windswept Heath from the opponent. And what is this? Teferi. Oh, it's so annoying. So Teferi and the opponent is representing Remand. So I skipped out on Commandeering it again because I want to cast Jace. I believe the opponent has Remand. Remanding our Commandeer would be kind of a disaster. We would be left with nothing in hand. Ooh, Thing in the Ice. So now that we can't Commandeer anything ever, do we want to Thing in the Ice or do we want to Jace? I think the answer is we want to Thing in the Ice this turn, and the reason is if the opponent is representing Remand or Negate, Thing in the Ice is just a much better decision. Alright, I think the opponent might be representing Negate. I've also been playing a little bit slowly. I'm going to try to be aware of clock. We're at 12 minutes right now. Actually, I guess it's pretty easy on these kinds of turns because the next end step, because we literally can't do anything because of Teferi. No, that's right. I forgot Teferi has that bounce. Yep, there's that Remand we were expecting. This could be like a mana leak or something. I'm really not sure what other counter spells the opponent plays, but let's find out. All right, sticks this time. Teferi is only on 2 loyalty, so unlikely the opponent is going to bounce anything, but it is very annoying that the opponent has this many cards and can just very safely cast Scapeshift to kill us. We just can't do anything about it. I'm going to go ahead and not crack this Flooded Strand. I think it was actually a mistake to play it. Maybe I should have. Alright, well, we're not going to get anywhere by not casting spells, so I guess I could just cast Time Warp. I think I would rather cast Jace. Either way, I don't think this spell is resolving, so I don't think it makes a huge difference what's being cast here. Snapcaster Remand. That's annoying. Alright, like our turn is over. Yeah, the opponent with billions on billions of mana. And you know what? I'm not cracking this Flooded Strand at end step, I don't think, so. Alright, this is probably lethal. I am interested in what our opponent's mana base looks like, so let's find out. Obviously, if this Teferi was not on board, we would be commandeering, fighting over this, but yeah. All right, bunch of Stomping Grounds, a bunch of Steam Vents, and single Valakut. That is lethal. Oops. Okay, do we want to change anything given what we saw? Maybe we could use another Lightning Bolt. Teferi is just so annoying. All right, what do we cut for this Lightning Bolt? I guess one of the things that Gigadrowse does is take the opponent off of blue mana, so it's not that bad. I don't think Exhaustion is going to be very good, actually. So maybe we go down to 1 Exhaustion and up to 2 Gigadrowse to try to take the opponent off counterspells. It is a little irritating that Force of Negation is in the format, and even though we haven't seen it from the opponent, we might want to give them a little bit of credit for that. But, you know, if we need to try to go off into it, we'll try to go off into it. Here we are for game 3. We're going first this hand. If I had a third land for this Jace, I think I would want to keep it, but as it stands, I think it's just too risky. Speaking of too risky, so we won't be able to Serum Visions on turn 1, but we do set up a Howling Mine, and then we have a bunch of things. Do we go to 5? So we basically have 2 draws to try to make our second land drop. 1 off of our draw on turn 2 and 1 off of Serum Visions. I don't like it, but I'm going to keep it. Would definitely be a lot happier if the Sulfur Falls was an island. That's not it. All right, land. Okay. Oof. What do we do with these? What do we do with these? So the issue here is if we're just looking for a third land, we'll need to double bottom these, but Commandeer is one of our best forms of interaction against the opponent. Serum Visions will let us set up for things. The issue is if we put Serum Visions on top, we can't cast it this turn. Next turn we want to cast Howling Mine. So we're basically taking next turn off to play Howling Mine, our turn 3 off to play Howling Mine, not even playing a land. We just get so far behind. I don't think we have time for the Serum Visions, and I am going to put this Commandeer on top. It could be a huge mistake, but we will see. All right, Steve from the opponent. And so let's go ahead and cast this Howling Mine and pass it back. All right, yeah, the opponent quickly getting up on mana on us. They're going to be at 4 mana to R2 now that we've missed our land drop. See what they do with it. Rest in peace. You've got it, buddy. All right, show us some lands, please. Lands, please. There's one. All right, there's another land. This is great. Svankotl, we could bolt that. I don't think it's worth it. All right. What is the opponent up to now? Windswept Heath. Attacking us for 1. We are drawing Opt and also Opt. Okay. Well, we've got 7 cards in hand, so let's see what the opponent does. Luckily, we have Cryptic and Commandeer as interaction, so I don't think it's terribly likely that we're just going to die. But let's see what the opponent does. Interesting. Fetching a Hollowed Fountain. This kind of indicates Cryptic Command to me. That's a lot of blue sources. There's a Steam Vents from the opponent. We're going down to 18, which notably means we're now in Scapeshift is lethal range. Let's cast an end-step Opt and see what happens. We do kind of want a 5th land, so I guess we'll go ahead and draw that. And let's try another end-step Opt. What the opponent does, we don't need this Gemstone Caverns right now. Okay, I found where all the lands are. Opponent just discarded Temple Garden. Right. I think we just discard the lightning here. Feels weird, but I think that's the play. I think the plan now is to try to take our opponent off of blue mana and then try to go off. We'll have enough blue cards in hand that we'll have Commandeer backup in case our opponent has Force of Negation, but we're going to hope that they don't. Oh, it is very irritating that they drew a fetch land. What's this? Scapeshift. Yeah, so we can't let that resolve. So Cryptic it. Do we Commandeer it? Cryptic or Commandeer? I think we Commandeer it. Exiling what? Yes, Dictate and either part or Gigadrowse so that we can try to go off. Probably Gigadrowse then. Actually doesn't do that much. Maybe we Cryptic Command this so that the opponent is forced to interact more. Yeah, I think so. So this will basically force the opponent to interact with this more. Remanding, what is the target here? Cryptic? Okay. So now I think we Commandeer this, exiling Dictate and Cryptic to give us the best chance of going off next turn. The opponent has Dispel, we're obviously dead here, but let's see. Okay, neat. How many lands do we sack? I actually don't know. A while since I've resolved a Scapeshift. I don't even know if we want to thin that many lands. I guess we do want to draw spells. Do we even want Mikokoro? We kind of want blue sources for Gigadrowse. I don't think we even want Mikokoro. Alright, let's just thin the deck. This much, I guess. Actually, we've got fetch lands in the deck. Yeah. This seems fine. I don't know what I'm doing. Ooh, okay. We get a Scry. That's cool. We'll go ahead and get this, and I guess a fetch land to thin the deck a little extra. Not paying 2 life. And Serum Visions, I guess, to the top, because we'll be able to Time Warp plus Serum Visions next turn. Alright, we've got 5 minutes left, so I'm going to try to play a little bit more quickly. Our draws are not great. Maybe I should have just gotten more lands out of the deck. Right, well, I think Time Warp. Good. Obviously, if the opponent has Force of Negation here, then there's nothing we can do about it. Hopefully they don't. Nice. Ooh. Thing in the Ice seems good. Head and run Thing Time Warp. And let's see what else we got. Okay. Let's see if we can draw another Time Warp, please. Nope, not quite. Like Exhaustion, and I do like Commandeer. Go ahead and cast this because taking an extra turn is more important than Awaken. Exhaustion the opponent. Guess let's just thin the deck. There's only one fetchable left anyway. We really don't want to draw it then, so that our Flooded Strand actually does something. Boy, I wonder if we're getting pathed or something. It'd be weird that they would do this post-combat then. Whatever it is, we can't interact with it. Nope, it's nothing. Okay. See what we draw. Oh, right. We had to pass the turn. That was a an exhaustion, not in anything else. Duh. Discarded. Rest in peace. Ooh, that's lethal. That's mega lethal. Ooh, that's not mega lethal. Alright, well, luckily, we've got this. Hopefully this one works. There we go. Alright, I'll see you for the next match. Alright, here we are for match 3. We've lost the die roll. This hand looks pretty good though. We've got 2 lands, but 2 cantrips and a Commandeer, which hopefully is good in this matchup. So go ahead and keep that and see what the opponent's up to. They've got Polluted Delta into pass the turn. Okay. I think I might just do Misty Rainforest, crack it for Steam Vents, and not even cast a cantrip this turn. I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for. Opponent could have a bad Death Shadow hand. Blood Crypt. Okay, yeah, this could be Grixis Death Shadow. Snow-covered island. Not really sure what's going on. I think I'm just going to get that tapped Steam Vents. Leave the cantrips in hand while I figure out what kind of cards are necessary. Still at the opponent's end step. Are they doing something? No, okay. Got a Flooded Strand. So could just play a Watery Grave tapped. Could play a Flooded Strand and crack it. I'm just gonna go ahead and play a Watery Grave tapped. Still kind of confused about exactly what we should be looking for. The opponent didn't cast a spell that turn either. Creeping Tar Pit. Is this just Grixis control? I feel like Creeping Tar Pit means this is Grixis control and they're waiting for us to make a move. So I think we can just look for land. No, I'm still just gonna chill. I also don't really want to play Mikokoro this turn. Okay, that was a reason to play Opt so that we could deploy a Snapcaster Mage later. Let's play this Flooded Strand now and once again chill. Like I said, I don't really want to deploy this Mikokoro right now, and the reason is if we activate it, we will be discarding, and the opponent, who currently has 5 cards, will not. So I think it works right now a little bit more to our opponent's advantage than our advantage. So here's an interesting play. I am going to cast a Dictate at our opponent's draw step. The reason I'm going to do it at draw step is the opponent will only have 3 lands, which is not enough to cast Cryptic Command. And because it's during their draw step, they will not draw the card off of Dictate. So there are a number of ways this can go wrong. They can just have any random counterspell, like Logic Knot, for example. But assuming this is Grixis control that we're dealing with, I am okay if they just go ahead and counter the spell. We have Mikokoro to gain card advantage later. And oh, okay. Or they just let it resolve. I wasn't expecting that. Whoa, Stomping Ground. Okay, I'm officially confused. What's going on here? Assassin's Trophy. Well, if we commandeer it, there's nothing else to hit, so I guess. Cool thing is this allows us to opt. Is this just some kind of 4-color control deck? I don't understand what's happening. I think we opt to the bottom. I don't really know. Alright, well, we have a Cryptic Command now. I guess I'll Serum Visions now. We are out of lands. Okay, that's just, you know, the perfect time to draw Temporal Mastery. Alright, so we have Cryptic up in case anything weird happens. I really don't understand what's going on. Alright, so we'll see if we can deploy this Snapcaster for opt. Okay, Snapcaster lands. We opt. Let's go ahead and draw that Serum Visions so that Temporal Mastery underneath it will be miracle. No, we're never lucky. So we could just cast this Temporal Mastery into all of this open blue mana, but I think that is a bad idea for a number of reasons. The biggest being we're not actually getting anywhere by doing that. Man, where did our lands go? I think we're looking for lands. Okay. Snapcaster's gotten lightning bolted. And the opponent is casting a Snapcaster of their own. And they're going to go ahead and bolt us. Okay, I don't think I'm too concerned about that. I think I would definitely be more concerned if something like an Assassin's Trophy on this Dictate happened. The opponent only has 2 cards in hand, so again, I'm really not sure what we're afraid of. It's just 3-color control. This is Jund with a bunch of blue. This is activating Creeping Tar Pit. This is us taking 5 going down to 10. Opponent with 2 cards and 2 mana open. I mean, okay. All right, so if the opponent goes for, I guess we can actually make this pretty safe by casting Gigadrowse now, going to the second main, and then time warping. The opponent is pretty unlikely to have blue card plus Force of Negation, and even if they do, we can Commandeer, exiling Cryptic and Serum Visions. The next turn we have either Temporal Mastery if we draw land, or Exhaustion. I think this is pretty reasonable. Certainly not a great play, but again, I'm pretty confused. I don't really know what's going on the other side of the board there, so we'll just let the opponent have their mana. You can go ahead and spend that however you please. And we will attempt to take another turn. All right, so we did not draw that land. Let's Serum Visions. So there's a land. Gigadrowse, I guess we're going to have the opponent basically covered, so. Alright, this leaves up Mikokoro. I don't think we need this bolt. Feels like insurance for a thing that is not going to happen. Oh, there's the bolt anyway. Just go ahead and fetch before we Serum, just so it doesn't mess up the scry. There's 2 lands that I don't think we need. Great. Do we have a time warp in here? We do. And we've got enough mana for it. Yep. Even if the opponent has something like main deck Surgical, we have Exhaustion in hand. All right. Let's go to sideboarding. So again, I'm really not sure what the opponent is on. It felt like a Grixis control splashing Assassin's Trophy. So I feel like we want Negate, Gelectrode, Commandeer. I'm worried about Liliana, which is why I'm not so sure about Thing in the Ice. I wonder if we want an Engineered Explosives. Well, I think my rule of thumb is when you don't know what the opponent's doing, you should probably sideboard less rather than more. So I'm going to say, how about we take out these 3 cards, Snapback, Snapcaster Mage, Lightning Bolt, and put in these 3 cards, Negate, Gelectrode, Commandeer. Could try to put in the 4th Commandeer. Sorry, 3rd Commandeer. Not exactly sure what I would take out, though. Yeah, I'm just so confused about exactly what the opponent's doing. I think this is going to be fine for now, and we'll adjust for game 3 if we need to. All right, here we are for game 2. We are going second. If we just had one more land, I would be very happy to keep this hand. But we don't. Serum Visions can set up the second land, but we really need to hit the 3rd land for Gelectrode and for Snapcaster Serum Visions. This is pretty risky. I feel like the opponent is on a slow enough deck that it's okay if we miss a land drop for a turn or 2, though. So we could keep this one and then try to win off the back of Gelectrode, but I don't know. Let's try it. This is certainly a riskier keep, but hopefully we'll just have 2 lands on top and then everything will be hunky-dory. It's not quite the land I was thinking of, but At least it's a land. Now we're looking for a red source. Ooh, there's a red source and a Serum Vision. I think next turn we want to hold up Negate in case of Liliana of the Veil, though. So I guess we want to go like this. We do want Serum Visions eventually because it's pretty good with Gelectrode. Just being able to ping things more times is always nice. And the reason that I think we want to hold up Negate is in case the opponent has Liliana of the Veil. It would be kind of a pain. But maybe I just don't understand the opponent's deck at all, and maybe they just don't even have that card. It's so weird to see Steam Vents and Verdant Catacombs next to each other. Alright, so the opponent could be playing Fulminator Mage, so I'm just going to go ahead and play an Island this turn. Next turn, if we want to deploy Gelectrode, we'll just Sulfur Falls and Gelectrode it up. Breeding Pool. Alright, so it looks like my fears about Liliana are unfounded. Tapped Watery Grave. Alright, now do we jam Gelectrode into this or not? I'm going to say yes. If the opponent has something like Negate, then this turns out real great for us. But, you know, this could get logic knotted. If it does, whatever. Remand. Alright, that's not so bad. The opponent does get to resolve something cool if they want to, but I really don't know what something cool is in their deck. I mean, it could be almost anything. They're playing 4 out of the 5 colors. There's Ren and 6. That's just a one-way ticket to Value Town. Alright, well, the opponent is again representing Remand, but I'm just going to keep jamming into it and see what happens. Alright, so I could save the Serum Visions, but I think I'd rather hit a land drop, so I think I would rather just cast it. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and untap that Gelectrode. There's a land drop. Yeah, I think having both of these would be pretty good. Shoot, I forgot this has 1 toughness into Ren and 6, which can deal 1 damage. I really need to learn these new cards, don't I? Yeah, that was pretty dumb of me. Alright, well, good news is we have Dictate plus Negate, so unless the opponent has something like, I don't even know what they could have that would be especially good. I guess 2 spells or Abrupt Decay. Then I think this Dictate is going to stick. What's going on? Fulminator Mage. That's annoying. We tried playing around that earlier. Alright, let's go ahead and use this for mana, I guess. Oh, I should have tapped the Gemstone. That was a mistake. Yep, opponent just going straight to Value Town, USA. Right. Do that land we put on top and Temporal Mastery that we would have drawn if I bottomed that. You hate to see that. Alright, well, let's go ahead and Exhaustion the opponent, leaving up Negate. I kind of want to leave up Negate through Fulminator Mage, so I'm just going to go ahead and tap like this. Shows that we don't have Bolt, but who cares? The opponent remanding this? No. Just a fetch? I'm confused, but okay. So what does this ultimate do? -7, you get an emblem with instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard have retrace. Just play fetch land. Bloodstained Mire, yeah, okay. So we could try to keep the Ren and 6 in check by snap bolting it, but I think what's more important right now is that we Snapcaster Exhaustion. So let's go ahead and do that. Really hoping the opponent does not have a counterspell this turn, because that would turn out pretty poorly for us. That looks like a counterspell, doesn't it? Yeah, that's a remand. Annoying. Well, we get to kill the Tireless Tracker if we want to, and I feel like that's worth it. Could also bring the Renin 6 down to 2, which doesn't feel worth it. Alright, so Snapcaster is probably dying to Renin 6, which is annoying, but not the end of the world. I am very curious what the opponent does with their billions of cards in hand and millions of mana. Pumping Ground, or Overgrown Tomb, rather. What is going on the other side of the field? That's just... this mana base. I just don't understand. Alright, opponent, just do us a favor and tap out. I guess they could have even Force Negation still. What an annoying card. Hex Drinker. It's just gonna drink up all the hexes. Interesting. So the opponent chose not to level up Hex Drinker at all. I mean, got Snapcaster Bolt if we wanted to. Is that something we want to do? I mean, I guess one of the advantages to not playing Time Warp this turn is if we hit a land, we get to play Time Warp with Negate backup. So that sounds like reason enough to wait. We are at 15, so even if the opponent levels the Hexy Drinker all the way, we still got stuff. So I guess let's start by trying to hit a land drop. That is hitting a land drop. And then I think I just want to pass and try to respond to the opponent leveling up for the 4th time, or I guess for the 3rd time. It's level 3 is protection, for instance. Respond to the opponent leveling up for the 3rd time. Because level up is a sorcery speed ability, we'll be able to Snapcaster Bolt it, in theory. Then Doodle Poodle. Uh-oh. Well, can't really do much about that. Targeting us. Yeah, okay, I think we want to go after the Hex Drinker now. Kind of annoying. Definitely ruins all of our plans. Surge. Extraction! Alright, I'll negate this and see what happens. Kind of really want to kill that Hex Drinker to slow down the clock. Although I suspect that the opponent has another counterspell, so I suspect that there's not really a way that we could have resolved this. Oh, okay. Sometimes you're just wrong, you know? I'm so confused why the opponent didn't level up the Hex Drinker. Oh, maybe they're drawing a card with the clue? I don't know. I draw 0 cards with this ability. So the opponent just does have a counterspell? I sure am plenty confused. Really wanted to draw off that clue, I guess. I am just so confused. That was what? Abrupt Decay? Yep, Snapcaster down. Alright, let's see what we can draw into with Opt. We don't need this land. Cryptic's fine. Let's see if they let this resolve. This really isn't going to do much besides draw a card, but they have a counterspell. This Cryptic isn't going to do much anyway because they have plenty of mana. They can just do a thing, do another thing. Yeah, they have Cryptic. Yeah, they would be able to cast basically any spell and they would have Cryptic up. So, yeah, I'm not sure how we get out of this one. Alright, I guess here's a plan. We do have 7 mana, which means we have Cryptic, and we can draw into a Dictate. Oh, that Tireless Tracker is very annoying. Alright, so here's something interesting. Renin 6 deals 1 damage to us. This is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is lethal. But we've got this Cryptic Command, so if it resolves, we do actually get to bounce Tireless Tracker and not die. The opponent might just not go for lethal. Let's find out what happens. I think we might need a counter bounce here. Counter that, bounce this. Actually, we really just need to bounce this, I'm pretty sure. Then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's not lethal, so I think that's fine. Yep. Go ahead and put an end step stop here so that if the opponent... Oh, nope. Alright, so we need to bounce in order for this to not be lethal, so let's turn that and draw a card. This looks like a counterspell, and cool. We know that the opponent has Force Negation now. Alright, so this is a very interesting 4-color control deck. So unfortunately, Gelectrode is not nearly as good as I wanted it to be in the face of Renin 6. Is Renin 6 good if we Commandeer it? I feel like the opponent didn't tap out that much. I feel like trimming an Exhaustion is okay for one of those things in the ice that I just brought in. Lightning Bolt is kind of medium. We do want to kill Tireless Tracker. It doesn't kill Renin 6 right off the bat, which is annoying. I feel like trimming one more Exhaustion is probably fine. Oh wait, what else did I trim? Oh, I trimmed the Gelectrode. This is probably fine. Guess we could bring in Thing in the Ice. I guess the opponent might not be expecting that plan. No, I think this is fine. Let's run it like this. Alright, well, we've got only one land, but Serum Visions plus Howling Mine. I don't think I'm going to say no to that. Forgot the exact numbers, but I believe Serum Visions is roughly 80% to see a land either in the draw or in the scry 2. So the good news is, if we don't see one, I get to complain about how unlucky we are, but fortunately, we're quite lucky. So here's an interesting thing that we could do. We could put Temporal Mastery on top, then Time Warp on top of that. Turn 2, shock ourselves, cast Howling Mine, draw Time Warp, and then turn 3, Miracle Temporal Mastery. If the opponent wasn't on a blue deck, I think I would do that almost certainly, but because the opponent could easily, for example, remand the Temporal Mastery, I think that's not as good of an idea, so these will both go to the bottom as we're looking for more lands. I guess another thing to note is that we have, once we hit our third land, Snapcaster Serum Visions, so hitting the third land just becomes extra important. And there's the third land now. I guess we can just not hurt ourselves by doing this. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have Spell Snare, or Spell Pierce, I guess, but either one. Alright, opponent on the one-way ticket to Value Town with this Renin 6. Let's see, so we could Mikokoro or we could Exhaustion. So if we had a fourth land in hand, I would feel very comfortable Exhaustioning, just because then the next turn we would get to Exhaustion again, and then hopefully we would have drawn a land in time for the Time Warp. Our other option is to just Mikokoro. Well, we're definitely shocking here, but whatever happens. So basically our options are Exhaustion or Snapcaster Serum Visions or Mikokoro. And the one that I want to do the most is Exhaustion because it has the highest upside if we draw lands, but it runs obviously the risk of us not drawing lands, and the opponent is going to continue to gain advantage both off of our Howling Mine and off of Renin 6. So in terms of hitting land drops, Snapcaster Serum Visions is the least risky because it sets up the most cards deep. But then Snapcaster just gets eaten by Renin 6 and the opponent gets to cast a 3-drop. That just seems all sorts of bad. I think I'm going to Mikokoro. It's definitely very close this turn. So one nice thing about Mikokoroing here is the opponent has up to 10 cards in hand now. So, oh, that sucks. That sucks a lot. Yeah, this is all kinds of bad. All kinds of bad. Alright, well, I think we want to hit a land drop, so. Alright, well, that's good, I guess. Do you think we want to hit as many land drops as possible? So go ahead and do that. This isn't great, but we can definitely claw our way back into this one. It does suck that Snapcaster is going to get eaten by the Renin 6 here. That was a Renin 6 for a land, yep. Okay. The opponent has another way to get rid of Snapcaster then? Or they just don't care. The Serum Visions before cracking the fetch is kind of bizarre. One on top, one on bottom. I mean, I kind of just want to time warp just to make them crack the fetch and do something. I'll hit Renin 6 first. Or at least try to. Alright. Well, let's do the time warp again. Oh, that's real annoying. Alright. Well, we can't really stop Renin 6 from embleming here, which is pretty irritating. Means the opponent's going to have infinite spell pierces. What can we do? Opponent has 6 cards in hand. I just feel like there's no way we're resolving anything. Irritating part. Yeah, that sucks. I think I'm just going to pass. Only Sandbar. Interesting. Going for the Lonely Sandbar value. That's pretty sick. Opponent also chose not to emblem Renin 6 this turn. And is choosing to have a billion cards in hand. So we do get Jace plus Exhaustion this turn, which is kind of cool. Okay, or we can Lightning Bolt Renin 6 just to stop it from embleming. I feel like that's not awful. Yeah, I guess we're also just trying to draw towards Gigadrowse. How many did I board out? Opponent does have Force of Negation though, which is very irritating. It's just a Lonely Sandbar. Read about the Vendilion Click. The opponent is getting a lot of value off of that Renin 6. Right, I think we'll cast this Jace and then probably Exhaustion the opponent afterwards. I wasn't expecting that. That's Spell Pierce. Okay, Snapcaster Spell Pierce explains it. That takes care of Jace. Very unfortunate. So there was an argument for casting Time Warp and Exhaustion that turn. That might have been better. Honestly, wasn't expecting the Jace to resolve. Fulminator Mage is quite irritating. I guess this is a way to win the game. So the opponent can theoretically double bolt it. I feel like we really need the opponent to have nothing. So let's see, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lands in play. So we can Time Warp Exhaustion, but that means we can't play Thing in the Ice, and that means we're probably not going to flip Thing in the Ice. I feel like we kind of need to play Thing. Yeah, I'm gonna play Thing and then Time Warp and just hope the opponent has nothing. Certainly not a good plan, but it is a plan that would let us win the game if the opponent has nothing. I don't think we're beating 2 counter spells anyway, so I don't think, you know, trying to go. Oh, what's this? That was Lonely Sandbar, okay. Interesting. Opponent has nothing. 7. Alright, only 7 lands. So we could Exhaustion plus Jace, but the opponent gets to ultimate Renin 6 and then has billions of lightning bolts at their disposal. I don't think that's worth it. So I think we need to cast without Awaken here. I think the plan here is to Jace and find a 1-mana spell. Jace and find a 1-mana spell so we can flip Thing in the Ice. Well, that technically counts. These 2 back. Then we Exhaustion, Gigadrowse, our hand is going to be Time Warp. Yeah, alright. And then because we can't kill the opponent, I think that we want to kill Renin 6 here, especially since if Thing in the Ice lives, we'll have the Time Warp to go again. So yeah, let's see if this works. Could easily get like Fatal Pushed here or something. I don't think the opponent would have that in hand though, but I don't know. Let's see what happens. Oh shoot. Oh, I completely forgot about the Snapcaster Mage. Oh no. That's really irritating. Man, that is really irritating. Alright, well I think we go after the Renin 6, but I think the opponent is blocking. Yeah. Oh man. Interesting, they plussed. That was pretty good. Alright, I mean, we will go after the opponent then. Oh. Oh my god. Alright. Well, let's see what we can do. That's not very good. Those aren't very good either. I think we've lost this game, but I think if we're going to win, it's going to involve that Thing in the Ice and bolting the opponent. Alright, well, there's the emblem from the opponent. Oh, now they just have billions of Abrupt Decays. That was pretty silly of me. Not to bolt the Renin 6 there. Yeah, I really didn't think about how that would work. Alright, yeah, not bolting the Renin 6 to prevent this emblem was just a huge mistake. I don't think there's any way that we can win through this emblem with Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy, so. Good game, opponent. I definitely misplayed there, but that was a pretty sick 4-color deck. I'll see you for the next match. Alright, here we are for match 4. We've won the die roll. This hand's not super great, but it's got 3 lands, 2 cantrips, and Snapcaster, so sure. We're definitely looking for cards to make it great. Opponent is still thinking about their mulligan. Opponent's kept 7. So we're definitely looking for a Howling Mine effect, and neither of those are it. So those are gone. Scalding Tarn from the opponent, and nothing. Alright, we are once again looking for a Howling Mine effect, and we didn't find one. I am going to keep the Snapcaster Mage though, just because we can Snapcaster Serum Visions. I don't think we want the Snapback though. The Steam Vent's tapped, and ship it to the opponent. So our plan next turn is to Snapcaster Serum Visions and hopefully find something good. Opponent with a Hollowed Fountain. Blue-white control maybe? So I'm perfectly fine with getting a Snapcaster countered or a Serum Visions remanded or whatever. We want to look for a mine effect. All right. There's an untapped Steam Vents. American control maybe? Yep, Logic Knot. That is perfectly fine. Go ahead and try one more time, see if we can get that Snapcaster Serum Visions. I'm very glad the opponent didn't play a 3-mana Planeswalker. That would have been a pain. Alright, and there they are. Go ahead and top both of them. Opponent's got 4 mana. Serum Visions, draw that Jace, and let's see what we scry. Opt is probably fine. I don't think Bolt's what we want right now because we haven't seen a Planeswalker from the opponent yet. I'm just going to go ahead and cast this Dictate on end step. If the opponent does something like Cryptic Command, then we'll get to resolve Jace, which is pretty good. Yeah, I don't think I want to crack this fetch land right now. So we could also just cast Time Warp. We are pressuring the opponent a little bit if we do that. I probably should have kept the Lightning Bolt on top if that was the plan. I guess one reason that Jace isn't great here is the opponent has a number of ways that they could remove Jace. If we 0, they can Lightning Bolt it. If we plus, they can Detention Sphere it, or probably something else that I'm not thinking of. Well, let's definitely get an attack in. It does feel kind of cowardly to not play the Jace, but also I think the opponent probably has Bolt. I guess if we play the Jace in 0, we get to put Temporal Mastery back on top. I should have cracked that fetch land. That was pretty foolish of me. Yeah, I'll just play this to play around to Spell Pierce, I guess, and let's get the Jace down. Set up the Temporal Mastery. Even if they have Bolt, which it looks like they do, we at least are getting value out of the Jace, both in getting this Brainstorm off and in, let's see, I don't think we want. And in being able to Temporal Mastery next turn. The opponent kind of has to deal with Snapcaster Mage somehow. Because they will die to it eventually. Ah, Big Teferi, that's annoying. What you gonna do, Big Teferi? Okay, so here's a cool thing we can do, which is at our upkeep, we'll tap the lands that the opponent has untapped. The reason we're doing this is then the opponent won't have blue mana for when we Miracle Temporal Mastery. You know, I guess this plays right into Force of Negation. I probably should have given that a little bit more thought. These Modern Horizons cards are really tripping me up. But let's see what happens. Oh, it's Lightning Helix. Alright, so then we need to respond to this. I'm going to put that trigger on the stack and respond to it by cracking this fetch land. That we have enough mana and eat. Alright, now let's look for something cool. Please, something cool. That's not quite. We really want a Dictate or something. Snapcaster's D's. Alright. Get rid of this. Not great. Don't have a Time Warp yet. Alright. Just go ahead and crack this. Tapped Steam Vents. It's neat. So we want to put this Time Warp in the yard, and then Snapcaster Time Warp, then yes, Time Warp again. Really hope the opponent isn't running main deck Surgical. That would really suck for us. So I believe we're going after Teferi. Could really do with drawing some spells or something. You know what spell would be really great to draw right now is Part the Waterveil. It'd be one happy camper if we could draw that. Not quite it. Certainly better than nothing, but not quite it. Yeah, the fact that we drew a few too many lands in a row is a little brutal. The fact that we didn't kill Teferi is a little brutal. Now the opponent has theoretical up to 3 mana to work with. They, yeah, play that land, sure, shock themselves, untap 2 lands. Yeah. Yep. I suspect we're getting like upkeep pathed here. No? Okay. Well, let's do that then. Right. Very likely the opponent has a lightning bolt, but I feel like we need to try to kill Teferi here. This is really one of our only chances. I guess even like a Logic Knot counters this. Well, not quite. We have 5 mana. Guess a Negate would counter this. Please don't have that. Of course, a Negation also does it. Let's draw Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Dang it. Alright. Well, at least it's a redraw. Let's draw. That's not it. Alright, I think this game is slipping away now that the opponent has untapped with the Teferi. I'm not going to Gigadrowse this turn because we really don't have anything to do with it. Yeah, the fact that we couldn't stick a Mind Effect has been pretty brutal. We even went through half the deck. Alright, good old Casting Explorer. Alright, well, we at least get to kill Teferi. That's more than nothing. I wonder why the opponent didn't do this last time. Oh no, this looks like a Cryptic Command. Or not? Oh, big Logic Knot. X11. Well, that's annoying. Alright. Did I count this right? 1. Oh no, I counted that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my goodness. I feel like I need to awaken this to actually win the game, but also I feel like if we let the opponent untap, they're drawing 2 cards, it's going up to 4. I feel like we're never resolving it if we let the opponent untap. I'm going to take the risk though. I'm going to let the opponent untap. That was just such a tough decision. Oh my god. Opposing Jace, this is not going to end well. Opponent has bajillions of mana, and okay. So if the opponent has no counter spells, how are we more likely to win the game? Honestly, I think just by casting a soft Part the Waterveil into Dictate. Right. If the opponent has basically anything, I think we're screwed. So might as well just go for it. I think we're screwed. No? Okay. At least kill Jace. Very, very weak consolation prize here. Electrolyze. What is happening? Double electrolyze? Okay. Guess we're getting burned out. Bolt. Yep. We're down to 8. Oh no, it's Narset. Oh, that's a disaster. Yeah, I guess even if we awakened, then the opponent had the electrolyze bolt to kill her. Oh yeah, okay, we're just dead. All right. So American control. We definitely want Commandeers, the Negate, the Gelectrode. What's coming out? So this used to be pretty easy where lightning bolts would come out. We need to keep those in now because of all these planeswalkers. I think we can afford to take out a Snapback. Exhaustion seems not great. And honestly, I think we can take out a Gigadrowse. Again, this used to be one of the best cards against this type of matchup, but with Force of Negation to think about, it's just not that good anymore. And whoops. And Thing in the Ice is not a great card against the planeswalkers that can bounce, which are Little Teferi, Big Teferi, and Jace. So I don't think that's worth bringing in. All right, let's try it like that. Yes, we will go first. This hand would be kind of cool if we had enough lands to cast this Dictate, but unfortunately we don't. Hand is also not great, but I wouldn't mind keeping it and putting the Waterveil on the bottom. It is kind of unfortunate that we don't get the turn 1 Serum Visions, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. It is also kind of unfortunate that we have this excellent combo of Gigadrowse and I guess now 2 colorless lands in our hand. Yep, those aren't lands. We also notably can't cast this Dictate because of these 2, in fact, the only 2 colorless lands in the deck, so that's kind of brutal. We also can't Snapcaster Serum Visions because that also requires 2 blue. Let's draw a blue source. That's not it. Let's see if we can opt into a blue source, I guess. I mean, I guess actually then we're not doing anything. See if the opponent counters this opt, though. If I was the opponent, I might. Oh, there's a blue source. No, that's annoying. Yeah, I don't think I want to deploy a Snapcaster for no value here. All right. Keep those blue sources coming. Vendilion. Oh. All right. Well, it's I tapped wrong. Should have left the Sulfur Falls untapped. I also should have let the click resolve and seen if the opponent was targeting us or not. But yeah, if I had left the Sulfur Falls untapped, it draws 0 cards. All right. Well, that is a sign that we might be in trouble. Keep those blue sources coming. Howling Mine is kind of cool. I don't really feel like using this right now. I guess I probably should have actually, now that I'm thinking about it more. I was mostly thinking that we could Gigadrowse the opponent at end step, but then A, we don't have anything to do with that, and B, the opponent could still have Force of Negation, so it's not even that good of a play. Opponent has 3 cards in graveyard for that search for Ascanta. Let's see what a Snapcaster opt finds us. Another Dictate. We want that. I don't think we want that. Already have the mine in hand. All right. Seems pretty risky on the opponent's part. We could have drawn into a time warp, but obviously we didn't. Guess let's just go ahead and lightning bolt the click on their turn. card on top. Alright, so one kind of cool thing we get to do now is we get to cast Opt and put the Temporal Mastery on top, then reveal it and cast it now. So obviously the opponent can have all kinds of counterspells, but you know, we're going into a turn here, so you know, I don't think we want that Temple of Epiphany on top now that I'm thinking about it. I think we would rather try to draw. Oh god, that's so annoying. Alright, there go the Snapcaster Mages. Our ways to win the game now are Jace Ultimate and Gelectrode and part the Waterveil. So we're going to have to be a little bit more careful about those. It is really annoying that that Surgical took a card out of our hand. Alright, I don't really think we need to crack that Flooded Strand now because we're drawing a fresh card. Alright, deploy the Howling Mine and call it a turn, I guess. The fact that Esconta flipped is very annoying. Okay. I guess that was actually a bad idea, fetching now, because the opponent could get us while we're shields down with this. That was a pretty lucky one. But yeah, the opponent could have gotten us while we were shields down with that Cryptic Command. Should have thought about that a little bit more. Interesting. Dillion Clip. Alright, I mean, guess. Okay. This Exhaustion, I guess, could get countered by something. Yeah, I was playing a little bit too quickly. I think I should have Gigadrowse this turn and then Exhaustioned next turn. By not playing the Serum Visions, we're holding up double Cryptic, but I don't think we need to because I can just Serum Visions and then tap the opponent out, basically. Gelectrode is also, I guess, a reason to... Alright, so we don't want lands. I guess I'm just going to tap the opponent out, so... Tap those 4 lands and then cast Gelectrode in the next main phase. So remember the opponent is exhausted, so they will... One is not this one. So they will not be untapping these lands. Yep. Getting search for Esconta, revealing Wear Tear. Ugh. That's incredibly annoying. We have both a wearable and a terrible permanent. Alright, well, I hope this is enough. Yeah, and then Commandeer is not very good against Wear Tear since we can't redraw. Ooh, that's not a land that casts Wear Tear. That's a snow-covered island. Alright, let's draw some good spells, please. Discard, they've discarded snow-covered island. Said good spells, please. Alright, there's a Time Warp. Go ahead and ping the Mendelian Click. Don't need to pay life there. Try to take another turn. Always yes, always yield. One ya. Right. Good cards, please. Good cards, please. Oof. Alright, well, We've got Negate and a bajillion Commandeers, but we know that the opponent has Wear Tear, which is pretty irritating. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so we don't quite want to tap out here, so I think what I'm gonna do is upkeep, tap everything but Field of Ruin, and that'll leave us with Negate backup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Double blue. This, not Field of Ruin. This. And I guess we also want to ping the opponent with this Gelectrode. So we have Negate available for Wear Tear, and then Commandeer to fight the counter battle. Go ahead and ping the opponent. Negate the Wear Tear. See what happens. Dispel. You know, how much do we actually care about this? I'm gonna say not that much. I think we're just gonna go for killing the opponent with this Gelectrode. We're not gonna kill the opponent with this Gelectrode, are we? Well, we can Commandeer this, exiling Commandeer Cryptic, and try to point this at the opponent. Yeah, alright. Ooh, a Snapcaster Mage. That kind of sucks. Alright, well, at least we get to kill it. Yeah, I guess I could have predicted this one. Should have fought over the Wear Tear, obviously. Yeah. Now we really need to resolve apart the Waterveil to win the game. We can put it onto a basic so that Field of Ruin doesn't hit it, but the fact that the opponent has this Escanta is going to be a pain in the butt. Let's see if we can get that. How many lanes do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. That's a great number. That would have been pretty good too. Alright, so the bad news is we can't kill the opponent with bolts just because the opponent's at 9 and we only got this bolt plus one more left. The opponent only has one card in hand, but they've got the Escanta. That's really annoying. Get part the Waterveil, please. It's pretty good. Part the Waterveil, please. Narset, parter of Waterveils. There we go. Alright. We need to change the sideboard at all. I guess Engineered Explosives is pretty decent against the 3-mana Planeswalkers, but I feel like the opponent is probably not going to play into that. I do think we can probably get rid of one Lightning Bolt and replace it with an EE. Alright, let's try it like that. Okay, game 3, we are on the draw. I think I'm going to get rid of this Temporal Mastery and to put that Gemstone Caverns into play. Let's see what we can do. I could get rid of a Gigadrowse so that Jace puts it on top. Nah. don't think we need another Commandeer, and I think we need lands, so... Oh my god. I forgot to play the Watery Grave. That was so embarrassing. What was even the point of this Gemstone Caverns? What was even the point of that Gemstone Caverns? Well, guess we're in the same spot now. Just can't draw a land. Let's just bolt it and alright, took the Jace, but we have a Howling Mine now, so that's kind of cool. The opponent knows to play around Commandeer, which is annoying. Land? Sweet. I feel like we just jam this. I feel like we're not getting anywhere if we don't just jam. Opponent on the Snapcaster Electrolyze. That is quite a lot of value. We bolt the Snapcaster? I want to say no. I want to say we save this bolt for if the opponent casts a Planeswalker. In particular, a Narset would be annoying if that resolves. Yeah, commandeering this does nothing because we have nothing else to point it at, so that sucks. Yeah, I guess we just bolt this now then. That's really annoying. I'll just crack this so that we have go ahead and not mess up our scry. I swear I put lands in the deck. Oh, that's right, the opponent has Field of Ruin to go ahead and mess up our scry anyway. Alright, so there's no point in time warping now, we're not getting anywhere, so... Alright, just land go from the opponent. Alright, we are almost talking now. So we want to be able to resolve this Jace somehow. I was going to say, I think this is going to involve an end step Gigadrowse, but ooh, okay. Opponent is just bouncing a land and drawing a card. Lightning helixing us, that's fine. So they still have Cryptic up even if we Gigadrowse their lands, so there's no point. Let's just go ahead. Now that we've drawn the second Jace, I'm just going to jam. Yep, Logic Not X2. You got it. Opponent has 4 cards in hand compared to our 7, but 1,000 lands in play compared to our 5. Oh, that's annoying. Snapcaster from the opponent. The fact that they're not saving Snapcaster for Logic Knot or Cryptic Command indicates to me that they're just trying to end the game right quick. Ooh, they have a Jace. I feel like basically we're not winning this game regardless of what we do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the opponent has a counterspell, so pretty sure this doesn't really matter. Okay. Well, no more Commandeers for us. If the opponent actually doesn't have anything in those 2 cards, we're in pretty okay shape. Oh, That's a huge issue. Alright, yeah. Dictate is a big no-no when the opponent has Narset. We'll just go ahead and crack this Flooded Strand now so that Jace's plus actually does something. Feel like we just put that on the bottom. Do get to take a Temporal Mastery turn by topping the whatchamacallit. We're also not casting Opt here because that runs directly into the opponent's Narset. Alright, we no longer want land. Right, but we drew a land anyway, at least it's a scry land. Serum Visions real bad when the opponent has Narset out. Right, we just get to look at there. Yeah, if we're gonna win, it's gonna involve the opponent not taking extra turns so that... Oh shoot, I put it on the bottom. I meant to leave that on top. Oh well. Alright. Narset into Narset. I don't think this is what we're looking for right now. EE maybe. Alright, Narset finds Lightning Bolt. That's irritating. Just gonna go ahead and blow up the EE now, get rid of Snapcaster Mage. New Narset. New Narset finds Dispel, okay. And Bolt goes to me. Does that mean we're dead? Yep, brutal. Alright, good game, opponent. See you for the next match. Alright, here we are for the 5th and final match. We've won the die roll. Ooh. I think if we were on the draw, I would keep this for sure. Play. I think this is good enough. It's a little risky. We do need 2 lands in order to hit this Dictate. But hopefully Commandeer is good in this matchup. Jace is Jace, so yeah. And I think I'm going to fetch a Steam Vents just in case we draw a Lightning Bolt that we need to cast. Land. Oh. Good for us, is it? Well, at least we're drawing the land, but the fact that I decided to hurt myself on turn 1 is really not going to be good. Alright, well, at least we've got lands. I am perfectly willing to cast Snapcaster Mage to block a Goblin Guide here. Right, so this is where Commandeer becomes excellent. Now we get to Commandeer this Lightning Bolt. Exiling, I don't think we're going to need Dictate, and Gigadrowse is not going to be that good. Now we get to point this Lightning Bolt at the Swift Spear and block the Goblin Guide. As long as the opponent doesn't have Gut Shot or anything, I think we're going to be fine, but I think this will be okay. Right, we are going to have to take damage here. And again, I'm doing this before casting Serum Visions, just so that we don't mess up the scry. We do kind of need lands, so yes, pop both. That's annoying. opponent has 5 cards in hand and we're at 14. If each of those is 3 damage, then that is not good for us. Opponent with Sacred Foundry shocked into Lava Spike. You are the critics. We're at 8. All right. Well, see what the opponent's got on top. Any land goes to the top, any spell. No. So put this on the bottom? No. All right, let's hope they can't kill Jace. Full crack. All right. All right. Let's see what we can do. These are bad. Yep, these cards are bad. Is there a point in casting Opt right now? I don't think so. 1-0. These cards are not good. The card that I don't want the most. No, Lightning Bolt kills Eidolon. I guess the card that I most don't want is Watery Grave, is that right? I can go Lightning Bolt, Watery Grave, and then I'll have Opt and then cast Dictate and try to go off. Alright. Well, this isn't good. Okay, Swift Spear is not so bad. To opt into that Lightning Bolt to kill it. Alright, opponent still has 1 card in hand and we're on 5. This is definitely a dicey situation, but let's see what we can do. There's a Time Warp and a Snapcaster, so we do have a Time Warp in the yard, but we're 1 mana shy of casting it. Let's see if we can draw something good. Painless untapped land. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this does turn on Searing Blaze for the opponent, which is kind of annoying, but we won't die to it, which is good. Alright, this looks like the Searing Blaze from the opponent. Alright, so we basically more or less need to kill the opponent here. Go ahead and 0 Jace, see what we can find. We have 8 lands in play, so we're not too far off from Part the Waterveiling. We can also Time Warp and Dictate this turn, so that's decent. Already played a land. Alright, nice. So the fact that we drew this Time Warp now means that we get to use Jace's 0 and then use the Temple to probably put this Jace on the bottom. Yeah, none of these cards are good. I suppose we Exhaustion the opponent here. There's not really a reason not to. Right. There's a Time Warp. We don't really want to hurt ourselves, but I guess the difference between 1 and 2 isn't anything really. I guess one thing that we get to do now is we Gigadrowse the opponent's land, and then we get to start activating Mikokoro. Opponent didn't float mana, so we can just use this now. And we exhausted the opponent, so they'll only have one land to work with, so they'll only be able to cast one spell, and we'll be able to Cryptic it. Nice. Also nice. All right. The fact that we have Part the Waterveil means we basically can't lose this game, so just kind of taking some game actions. All right, so this along with the Temporal Mastery in our hand is lethal. Guess we also have Snap Bolt, which makes it lethal this turn. Probably should have just done that. In fact, we still can. Or the opponent can just scoop. Okay, sideboarding against Burn. So we're basically on the control plan. I'm gonna bring in, I think, all of these. I'm not too sure about these ones. Engineered Explosives is nice because it comes down relatively quickly, relative to Anger of the Gods, but it kind of sucks that it doesn't trigger Thing in the Ice. It's also nice that Engineered Explosives does not require double red, because double red can be painful when you're getting Shocklands and stuff. Yeah, I feel like this is probably going to be fine. And then cards take out. Snapback's not great. We're going to the Thing plan, so we can take out some of these dictates. We'll trim some extra turn effects. Gigadrowse I don't especially care for. And Exhaustion is fine against the creatures, but not great. All right. Let's run it like that. Okay, here we are for game 2. Our opponent is going first. There are a lot of matchups where I would say a hand like this looks great. Unfortunately, Burn is not one of them. We just don't really do anything except block a Goblin Guide on turn 2, and that's just not good enough. Alright, well here we can at least interact, and I think we're putting this Gigadrowse to the bottom. It kind of sucks that we have 2 fetch lands, but what can you do? Alright, the opponent has no Goblin Guide. That's cool, but this could be like an Eidolon or something, which would be annoying. Interesting. There's a Goblin Guide. Alright, we did get an island. Now, do we want to bolt this? Getting the same amount of damage either way, it really just frees up a mana. I want to say we're not gonna bolt this right now. That way we can potentially get another land. Goblin Guide. Keyword. We could have commandeered that, but I don't think that was worth it. Given that we have a way to kill that Goblin Guide in our hand. And that we want to try to set up for drawing an extra land, except now that we drew a land there, I'm not so sure that it's even the play. Yeah, let's still go for it. We have just billions of lands. All right, I don't even think we want a land at this point. We got 3 lands in hand, only turn 2. Yeah, we're just gonna bottom both of those and see if we even hit a land on the next card beneath that. Sun-Baked Canyon from the opponent. Horizon land's looking pretty hot. Snapcaster Mage also looking pretty hot. Deal damage. I'm not sure that this works the way the opponent thinks it does. Collecting Palm says deals damage to you this turn. Chooses Lightning Bolt as a damage source. I'm pretty sure I clicked on Goblin Guide. Yeah. That might be what we needed to maybe win this game. think the opponent is trying to figure out what happened. So I think we're just going to Snapcaster Serum Visions. Again, this turns on the, what's it called, Searing Blaze for the opponent, but it's not like that kills us right now. Okay. Opponent has 2 cards in hand, we're at 11. That's pretty healthy. I do think we're going to want this Time Warp eventually. I don't think we want that land. Alright, Negate is a nice pickup. Alright, opponent is going up to 3 cards in hand. We're at 11. Sphere is pretty decent. I think I'm going to... I think I'm going to not block this. We're going to take some damage, but we can put an EE on 1 next turn. And kill the... Ooh, we could just Commandeer that. We're getting rid of the Negate and the Snapcaster, though. Is that worth it? Let's see. It would mean that we're at 14 to the opponent's 1 card in hand. Otherwise, we're taking 5 going to 6. I feel like it's worth it. Could definitely be wrong here, but it just feels right. I really hope the opponent doesn't have like Surgical Extraction or something in hand. That would be a little bit of a disaster. Right, hit that Swift Spear. Please no free spells. Thank you. Alright, so I could hold the EE in hand, but I kind of want to put it on 1 just for our opponent's next hasty threat. Actually, I suppose the opponent also could have the splash for Cindervines, so maybe it's better to just save this. Yeah, let's just save it. It's kind of close. The opponent also could have Eidolon, so I guess there's more reason to wait. Interesting. Going face with that bolt, I would have expected Snapcaster. Forest Charm. Alright. All face then. Guess face is the place. Opponent with the no cards in hand second main phase. Alright, there we go. Alright, so this Snapcaster brings them to 13. If we Snap Bolt them, they go down to 10. And then we can attack for 4 down to 6, Time Warp down to 2. That's not quite lethal, so I think we're just going to pass here. This is certainly going to be a close one. I kind of don't want to crack this Flooded Strand because that'll bring us from 7 to 6, and that's just so much more likely that 2 spells kills us if we're at 6 than if we're at 7. When we're at 7, the opponent basically needs a whatchamacallit. Alright, this is maybe not a good play, but I do think I want to pressure the opponent, so I am gonna Snap Bolt. The opponent could certainly have something like a Lightning Bolt for one of our Snapcasters that would bring a lot of the pressure off, and that would be not good, but I think we need to try to end the game as soon as possible. Oh, there's a Boros Charm. Well, 2 is not that much different from 3 then. It's basically just a Goblin Guide that makes a difference. Right, well at least this is a painless way to do this. Right, the opponent's at a virtual 2 from our next attack. And that's lethal. Alright, good game, opponent. So we went 3-2, beating Dredge, Bring to Light, Scapeshift, and Burn, and losing to 4-color control and Jeskai control. So those losses were definitely at least a little bit my fault. I definitely made some misplays that could have been done better, some sideboarding mistakes, including not citing Lightning Bolt out against Dredge, keeping a few risky hands that maybe we could have mulliganed, especially with the new London mulligan. So could have gone better, but not too bad. Overall, I think the deck played out pretty smooth. I think in a lot of matches we got to see just the power of having a Dictate in play and casting a Time Warp, or just attacking with Snapcaster Mage a few times until the opponent's about to die. So over in the sideboard, I do think that Gelectrode is a good inclusion. We didn't get to see any creature matchups like humans or spirits or infect where it would really shine. And I do think it was worse against Jeskai control than it is against standard blue-white control, just because blue-white doesn't have access to cards like Lightning Bolt or Electrolyze that are very good against Gelectrode. So it didn't work out super well against our Jeskai control opponent, but luckily there seems to be a lot more blue-white than Jeskai in Modern right now. I definitely made a mistake playing Gelectrode against Wrenn and 6. I just completely forgot that Wrenn and 6's ability will just destroy a Gelectrode, so definitely need to think twice before bringing in Gelectrode in that kind of matchup, but I do think it's a worthy inclusion in the sideboard. 2 Commandeer in the sideboard also feels pretty good to go along with the 1 in the main. I do think our control matchup has gotten a lot worse with the printing of cards like Narset, Teferi, and Force of Negation, so I think having more ways to interact on the stack against a control opponent is very good, and in particular, taking their Planeswalkers is very, very good. Thing in the Ice, great as always. The removal suite felt fantastic. Our surgicals were very good against Dredge. Overall, I think this sideboard is the way I'm going to move forward with the deck for now. Yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you for the next one.